you'll watch your brother's kids. We're heading out on a family trip. That was it. No hello, no hug, no how was your 10-hour flight, sweetheart? Just my mother standing in the doorway with her coat already on, handing me a list of bed and allergy medicine like I was the babysitter she forgot to pay. My brother Derek leaned around the corner, smiling like it was all a joke. Don't wipe your nose on her, kids. The whole house laughed. 3 children, 5 days, $0, and the fancy resort they were going to, I would discover later. I was the one covering the cost. What I said next made my mother's face turn pale. And by the end of that week, every automatic transfer, every bill, every favor I had quietly carried for 6 years would fall on them like a snowstorm they never saw coming. Before I continue, please take a second to like and subscribe, but only if you truly connect with this story. Drop your location and your local time in the comments. I love seeing where everyone is watching from. My name is Claire. I'm 27. And this is the story of how I stopped being my family's personal bank account and watched them realize they couldn't support their own lives without me. Let me take you back 3 weeks before Christmas, the night my mother called me crying. It was 11 p.m. I was sitting cross-legged on my bed in my small Seattle apartment, my laptop balanced on a pillow, finishing a code review that was already 3 days late. My phone buzzed once on the nightstand, then again. Then it lit up with my mother's name and kept ringing. I answered. The crying started before I could even say hello. Claire, honey, I need you to come home for the holidays. Her voice broke in the same place it always did. This might be the last time I have all my kids under one roof. Your father would have wanted this. My father? She always knew exactly which old bruise to press. He had been gone 8 years, and she still called his name like a bill collector whenever she wanted something from me. I told her I wasn't sure. Flights were expensive so close to Christmas. I had just sent her the monthly transfer 5 days earlier. My bank account was running on very little and pure determination. She didn't hesitate. I already told Aunt Ruth you're coming. Don't make me look like a liar in front of the family. There it was. Step 1. Guilt. Step 2. Public pressure. I knew this pattern the way other people know their daily drive to work, and just like every other time, I gave in. I booked a flight that same night. $1,200. Economy. 10 hours with a layover in Denver. I remember staring at the confirmation email and thinking, this is fine. This is what good daughters do. I should have known better, because the last time my mother cried like that on the phone, it cost me $11,000. But I'll come back to that part. 3 weeks later, I was dragging my suitcase through 6 inches of dirty snow up my mother's driveway. In Richmond, Virginia, my back hurt from the long flight. My fingers felt frozen. The porch light was on, and through the frosted glass, I could see people walking around inside. I knocked. My mother opened the door, and the first thing I noticed was her coat. Not a bathrobe, not kitchen clothes. A coat, fully zipped, keys already in her hand. She didn't hug me. She didn't even look at my face properly. She held out a folded paper. Here's the schedule. Lily is allergic to strawberries. The baby's reflux medicine is in the cabinet above the stove. The pediatrician's number is on the fridge. She glanced at her watch. We need to leave in 20 minutes to make our dinner reservation. That's when Derek appeared from the hallway, resort polo shirt, sunglasses pushed up on his head in December. He wore that same grin from childhood, the one that meant he was about to make me the joke and everyone else would laugh. Don't wipe your nose on her, kids. His 3 children ran around the corner. Lily, 5 years old, grabbed my leg. The middle one, 3, ran right past me like I wasn't even there. And the baby, 18 months old, was crying loudly in Megan's arms. Megan walked by without meeting my eyes. The formula is on the counter. She wakes up at 2, and then they left. Coats on, doors slamming, the SUV pulling out of the garage. I stood in the middle of the living room holding a paper with someone else's children's bedtimes written on it. My suitcase was still zipped. By my feet. That's when I saw something else. A resort brochure on the kitchen counter. 5 days booked 3 weeks earlier. A week before my mother ever called me crying. The tears had been part of the plan, and I had walked straight into it. The baby woke up at 2 a.m. sharp, just like Megan said. The only accurate thing she mentioned, I lifted her from the portable crib and walked slow circles around the dark living room, gently patting her back, humming a half-remembered song my father used to sing. The house was quiet except for her soft crying and the steady hum of the refrigerator. The refrigerator. I stopped in front of it. Under magnets and old takeout menus were family photos. Derek's college graduation, Derek's wedding, the whole family at the beach last 4th of July. Derek, Megan, the kids, my mother, even Aunt Ruth wearing her big sun hat. I wasn't in a single photo. I stood there for a long time, bouncing the baby, looking carefully at each picture like maybe I had missed myself. I hadn't. My phone buzzed in my back pocket. A banking alert. I shifted the baby to one arm and checked it. Charge: $4,800. Coastal Breeze Resort and Spa. My mother's credit card. The card I paid every month. The same card she had just used. To book a vacation I wasn't invited to? Something cold moved through my chest. Not sadness. Something sharper, clearer. I sat down on the couch with the baby asleep on my shoulder and opened my banking app. I started scrolling. Rent transfer, $1,400. Auto insurance, $200. Credit card payment, never under $300. I kept scrolling. Month after month, year after year. 6 years of transactions. I had never added them together before. I think part of me didn't want to know. The baby's breathing was slow and warm against my neck. The house was completely quiet. That night, I didn't sleep. Not because of the baby. Because I opened a spreadsheet and started counting everything. To understand what happened next. You have to understand how I got here. And that means going back to the day my father died. I was 21. I had just graduated from college. No job yet, just a degree and a plan to move to the West Coast and begin something new. My father, Richard Fielding, a quiet man who fixed lawnmowers in the garage and called me kiddo until the day he passed, had a heart attack on a Tuesday morning. By Wednesday, he was gone. At the funeral, it rained so hard you could barely hear the pastor speaking. Derek stood next to Megan, who was 6 months pregnant with Lily. He cried. My mother cried. Everyone cried. I cried too. But I also remember watching my mother's face and seeing something under the grief. Something thoughtful. Something measuring. She pulled me aside during the reception. Claire, you're the strong one. Derek has a family to take care of. I only have you now. I was 21. I didn't realize that sentence was a leash around my neck. I got my first job 2 months later. Entry level? The paycheck barely covered rent and food. The very first month, my mother called. I can't make rent this month, baby. Just this once. I sent her $1,400. And then I sent it again the next month, and the next, and the next, for 6 years. Not once, not one single time in 72 months did my mother ask Derek for money. Not when he bought a new truck 6 months after our father's funeral. Not when he and Megan went on a cruise for their anniversary. Not when he replaced his television with a huge 70-inch screen. Funny how strong always meant the one who pays. Last Christmas was supposed to be different. I told myself that on the flight to Richmond. I even believed it. I bought thoughtful gifts for everyone. A soft cashmere scarf for my mother. Wooden building blocks for the kids, hand-painted, $60. A good bottle of bourbon for Derek, because I was still trying. Always trying. The gift I received was a bath towel wrapped in newspaper. Not even regular newspaper. It was a grocery store ad. I could still see the coupon for $2 chicken thighs sticking out of the fold. I grabbed it last minute, my mother said brightly. You're so hard to shop for. I smiled. Of course I smiled. The day after Christmas, my mother announced a family ski trip. I actually felt a little excited. That alone tells you how low my expectations were. I woke up early, put on the warmest clothes I owned, and went downstairs ready to leave. Derek was tying his boots in the hallway. He looked up at me. Someone has to stay with the kids. Claire? You don't even ski? My mother stepped up behind him. He's right, honey. It just makes sense. So I stayed. 3 kids. A cold house. A window with a perfect view of the driveway as their car pulled away without me. I stood there watching until the red lights disappeared at the end of the street. And for the first time, instead of telling myself this is what good daughters do, I asked a different question. What does a good daughter actually owe? And who decided it was everything? I watched them climb into the car, laughing loudly, pulling up their jackets, passing around a thermos filled with hot chocolate. Megan turned and gave me a small wave through the window. The kind of wave you give a hotel receptionist you'll never see again. When they came back that night, smelling like pine trees and cold winter air, not one person asked me how my day had been. Derek just glanced around the living room and said, "The house is still standing? Nice job." That was the first year. I told myself it would not happen again. I was wrong. And the next time was even worse. 8 months before the holiday trip. My mother called me at midnight. Not her usual late-night guilt hour. This time it sounded like real panic. At least that's what I believed. Claire, the pipes burst. There's water everywhere. The kitchen floor is destroyed. I don't know what to do. I could hear dripping in the background. Maybe it was water. Maybe it was acting. I sent $11,000 the next morning. Almost everything in my emergency savings account. I ate rice and canned beans for 3 weeks after that. I told myself it was worth it. My mother needed help, and I was the strong one. 2 weeks later, Derek posted pictures on social media. A birthday party. His birthday. At my mother's house. And there, shining behind the cake and the carefully dressed guests, was a brand new kitchen. Granite island. Hanging pendant lights. Clean subway tile, backsplash. Everything looked perfect. The caption said, "Mom outdid herself this year." I stared at that photo for 10 full minutes. Then I sent my mother a message. I thought the pipes burst. She answered quickly, like she had been waiting for me to ask. They did. But since we were fixing things anyway, I upgraded the kitchen a little. Family needs a nice kitchen. Claire, it was only $11,000. Later, during one of my visits, I found the real plumbing invoice pushed into a drawer. $612 to fix the pipe. The remaining $10,388 went toward a kitchen remodel I was never asked about, never invited to enjoy, and never thanked for. Family needs a nice kitchen. She kept repeating that word. Family. I don't think it meant what she believed it meant. Or maybe it meant exactly what she believed. Family meant I would pay quietly forever. I deleted the message thread. I said nothing. That was the last time. Until it wasn't. 3 months before I flew home for the holidays, Megan sent me a screenshot by mistake. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was on my lunch break scrolling through my phone when a notification popped up from Megan. That alone was strange because Megan and I didn't really talk. We existed in the same family, the way strangers share the same subway car. Close, but not connected. The screenshot showed a group chat called Fielding Fam. I had never seen it before. I was not in it. For members, my mother, Derek, Megan, and Aunt Ruth. My mother had written, "Claire is so dramatic. Sometimes I ask for one small favor and she acts like I'm destroying her life." Derek replied, "She just likes feeling important." Then Megan wrote, "LOL." Aunt Ruth added a laughing emoji. I read it 4 times. Then I placed my phone face down on my desk and stared at the wall. One small favor. That's what my mother called it. $1,400 a month. $11,000 for a kitchen, car. Insurance for a brother who would not even pass me a cup of coffee. One small favor. And a family group chat that included everyone except me. The family group chat did not include my name. But my monthly payment definitely included my mother's phone bill. I was paying for the phone she used to speak about me behind my back. Megan never mentioned the screenshot. Maybe she didn't realize she forwarded it. Or maybe she just didn't care enough to fix it. I saved it. I took a screenshot of the screenshot and stored it in a folder on my phone. I didn't know why at that moment. It felt automatic. Like keeping a receipt you might need later. Turns out my mind was already collecting proof. Back to that first night alone in my mother's living room. The baby was sleeping on the couch, tucked carefully between 2 pillows. Lily and the middle one were in Derek's old bedroom. The house was completely silent, and the light from my laptop screen was the only light in the room. I had been working for 3 hours. Transaction by transaction, month by month. Bank statements going back to August, 6 years ago. The first $1,400 I ever sent. When I finished the spreadsheet, I just stared at it. Rent, $1,400 times 72 months. $100,800. Car insurance for Derek, $200 times 72 months. $14,400. Credit card payments, $16,800 across 6 years. That was only what I had tracked so far. There were probably other charges I had forgotten. The kitchen renovation, $11,000. The total sat at the bottom of the screen. Bold automatically because the cell formatting made it stand out. $143,000. I paid $143,000 to a family that doesn't even put my picture on the refrigerator. I looked at that number. Then I looked at the sleeping baby. Then I looked at the empty driveway outside, somewhere on a beach. My family was eating shrimp cocktail on a bill that would appear on a credit card that I would end up paying. And there I was sitting in a dark living room with a spreadsheet that showed me exactly how invisible I had been and exactly how much that invisibility had cost me. I picked up my phone and sent a message to Nora, my best friend since college, the only person who ever asked me, "Claire, how much are you actually sending them?" "I need your help," I wrote. "And I need you to be honest with me." She called back in 7 minutes. The first thing she said was something I had needed to hear for 6 years. "Claire, you gave them a house. Not hello. Not what happened." She looked at the spreadsheet I shared with her on FaceTime. For about 30 seconds, she said nothing. I could see her eyes moving across the numbers, line by line, the way she reads everything. Like a woman who counts things for a living, which she does. Nora is an accountant. A very good one. The kind who catches mistakes other people hope nobody notices. I was sitting on the bathroom floor in my mother's house. The door locked, the fan running so the kids would not wake up. You gave them a down payment on a house. Claire, Nora said quietly. And they didn't even give you a seat at the table. I tried to laugh. It sounded wrong. She calls it helping out. Helping out is bringing groceries, Nora said. Helping out is watching the kids for a Saturday afternoon. This, she pointed at the screen, this is funding their entire lifestyle. Your mother's rent, your brother's car insurance, her credit cards. Claire, do you even know everything that's in your name? I didn't, and that scared me more. Then the number on the spreadsheet, Nora guided me through it. Pull your credit report tonight, right now. Check every automatic payment linked to your bank account. And Claire, are you a co-signer on anything? I paused. The lease? Mom asked me to co-sign when she moved after Dad died. She said it was only a formality. Nora went silent. That particular silence she uses when she is angry but trying to stay calm. If she misses a payment, it affects your credit. You know that, right? I didn't answer because I had not really understood that before. Not in a serious way. We are checking everything tonight, Nora said firmly. It was 3 a.m. when I pulled my credit report. Nora stayed on the phone the entire time, walking me through every step while I sat on the cold tile floor. With my back against the bathtub. 2 credit cards I recognized. A joint checking account I had opened years ago and forgotten about. A co-signed lease just like I told Nora Dodd, and then a 3rd credit card. Opened 14 months earlier. Authorized. User, Patricia Fielding. Balance, $3,200. I stared at the screen. Nora, I didn't open this. I know you didn't. I never signed anything. I never approved her to be on this card. Nora's voice was careful, like someone holding fragile glass. Claire. That's not just financial carelessness. Adding an authorized user and building up a balance without consent can be considered fraud, even between family members. She's my mother, and she opened a credit line in your name without asking. Both of those facts can be true at the same time. I opened the statements. The charges were clearly hers. A department store, a day spa, $340 for one visit. Expensive groceries, 14 months of spending on a card I did not know existed, under my name, lowering my credit score. I placed the phone on the tile floor. I sat there in that bathroom in my mother's house, the fan humming above me, the faucet dripping slowly. The baby monitor quiet for once, and for the first time in 6 years, I did not cry. I just saw everything clearly. Like someone had finally turned on the lights in a room. I had been walking through in the dark. I did not feel sad anymore. I felt something I had not felt in 6 years. Clarity, and clarity, I realized, is dangerous, especially for people who depend on your confusion. The next afternoon, my phone rang. Mom, before she even spoke, I could hear waves crashing, laughter, and soft steel drum music in the background. How are the kids? She asked. Not, how are you? Not, did you sleep? Just how are the kids? They're fine, I said. Oh, good. Listen, honey. Derek forgot to pack the kids' rain boots. There's supposed to be rain tomorrow, and Lily has a thing about wet socks. Can you run to the store and grab some? With what car, Mom? A Paws.0, right? Well, take an Uber. Use my card. Another. Pause. Actually, no. Just use yours. I'll pay you back. She would not pay me back. She had never, in 6 years, paid me back for anything. Derek's voice drifted in from the background. Bright and easy, like he was talking about the weather. Tell her to get the good brand, not the cheap ones. I looked at my laptop, still open on the kitchen counter. The spreadsheet glowed from across the room. $143,000 plus the $3,200 I'd found at 3 in the morning plus the $4,800 resort charge. The number was still growing even now, even while I held the phone in my hand. Sure. Mom. I ended the call. I didn't go to the store. I sat at the kitchen counter and stared at the spreadsheet and the sleeping baby and the quiet house and the resort. Brochure and the photos on the refrigerator that didn't include me. And I made a choice. That was the last time I said sure. Mom, and truly meant it. The next time those words left my mouth, they would carry a very different weight. I called Nora again that evening after the kids were in bed. This time, I wasn't sitting on the bathroom floor. I was sitting at my mother's kitchen counter. The $11,000 kitchen counter, with my laptop open and a pen in my hand. What do you want to do? Nora asked. I thought about it. Really thought about it. Not the angry version. Not the crying version. The calm, clear version. I want to stop lying to myself that they'll change. Nora was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Tell me what that looks like." So I told her. I laid it out like a project plan, because that's what I do for work. I build systems. And this was a system that needed to be shut down. Step 1. Cancel every automatic payment from my accounts. Rent, insurance, credit card statement, all of it. Step 2. Contact the landlord and notify him that I'm removing my name as co-signer on my mother's lease. Step 3. Call the credit card company and report the unauthorized card. Freeze it. Step 4. Print the spreadsheet. Every line, every dollar, every month. 12 pages. Nora listened to all of it without interrupting. Then she said something that made my stomach drop, but in a good way. The way it drops when you're about to jump and you've already decided? Call the landlord before you tell them. Get it moving before they can guilt you out of it. Once the paperwork starts, it's done. They can cry all they want, but the clock is ticking. She was right. If I told them first, my mother would cry. Derek would yell, and I'd give in. I always gave in. Not this time. I'm not punishing them, I said. I'm just not lying for them anymore. I made the calls the next morning while the kids watched cartoons in the living room. One by one, with the volume turned up just enough to cover my voice from the kitchen. First, the landlord, Mr. Garnett. A polite man with a flat tone who clearly wasn't used to calls like this. I'm calling because I'm a co-signer on the lease. At 412 Briar Lane. My mother, Patricia Fielding, is the main tenant. I'd like to formally request the removal of my name. He asked a few questions. I answered them. Then he said, I appreciate the heads up, Miss Fielding. Your mother will have 30 days to secure a new co-signer, or the lease will move to a month-to-month arrangement pending credit review. 30 days. The clock had started. Second call, my bank. I canceled the auto-pay for 3 recurring transfers. Rent, car insurance, credit card statement. The representative confirmed each cancellation and read me a reference number. I wrote them all down carefully. Third call, the credit card company. This one took longer. I explained the situation. An authorized user had been added to my account without my knowledge or consent. The representative paused, then said, We'll flag this for review and freeze the card immediately. You have the option to file a formal dispute if you'd like. Not yet, I said, but I want it frozen today. Done. I sat at the kitchen counter after I hung up. The stack of printed spreadsheets, 12 pages highlighted in yellow, sat in a manila folder beside me, Everything was ready. The auto pays were stopped. The landlord had been notified. The unauthorized card was frozen. Everything was in place. The dominoes were lined up. All I had to do was wait for them to walk back through that front door. Tanned, rested, and completely unaware that the ground under them had already shifted. Last night, Lily crawled into my lap on the couch. She was in her pajamas, the ones with the little astronauts on them, and she smelled like baby shampoo and graham crackers. She pressed her face into my shoulder and said, "Auntie, why don't you come on trips with us?" "I have to work, sweetie." She pulled back and looked at me the way 5-year-olds look at you when they're about to repeat something they heard an adult say. "Daddy says you don't do anything important." The room tilted for just a second. I hugged her tighter and didn't answer. I tucked her into bed, kissed her forehead, and walked back to the kitchen where my phone was charging next to the manila folder. And then, for the first time since this whole thing started, I almost stopped. I picked up the phone and called Nora. It was past midnight in Seattle, but she answered on the second ring. I was crying, really crying. The messy kind, the kind I hadn't let myself do in years. "What if I'm wrong?" I whispered. "What if this ruins everything?" Nora didn't hesitate. "Claire, you paid $143,000. They called you dramatic in a group chat you weren't even in. Your mother opened a credit card in your name. This isn't love. This is a system. And you're the engine they refuse to take care of." I pressed the heel of my hand against my eyes and breathed slowly. "I'm not doing this to hurt them," I said. "I know. You're doing this so you can stop hurting." I ended the call, wiped my face, looked at Lily's door, closed and quiet. Then I heard it the next morning, tires on gravel, their car pulling into the driveway. And I realized my hands weren't shaking anymore. They came through the front door like a parade nobody asked for. Suitcases rolling, skin tanned, voices loud and excited. My mother was wearing new sunglasses. Derek had a resort gift shop bag hanging from one hand. Nobody said thank you. Nobody asked me how the 5 days went. Patricia walked past me and looked around the kitchen. "The house looks clean." Then, to no one in particular, "Did anyone bring the leftovers from the resort?" Megan picked up the baby and inspected her like a mechanic, checking under a hood. "Did she eat enough?" "She looks thinner." "She ate everything on the schedule you left," I said. Megan didn't reply. She just walked off toward the nursery. Derek tossed his keys onto the counter. "House is still standing." "Not bad, sis. Same line as last year." Same smile. Then my mother turned to me with the casual authority of someone giving a hotel concierge one last task. "Since you're here, can you transfer $2,400 to Derek? The resort accidentally charged the wrong card, and we need to clear it before the statement closes." I looked at her. The sunglasses, the tan, the confidence. I opened the manila folder. "Actually," I said quietly, "we need to talk." Derek laughed. "About?" "What about money?" I said. The room shifted. My mother's smile tightened. "What about money?" I pulled out the first page of the spreadsheet and laid it flat on the counter. "About $143,000. Silence. Derek frowned like I had spoken in another language. "What is that supposed to mean?" "It means," I said calmly, "that over the last 6 years, I have paid $143,000 in rent, insurance, credit cards, trips, and temporary help that was never temporary." "That's dramatic," Megan said from the hallway. I slid the stack toward them. "It's itemized every month. Every charge. Every transfer. My mother didn't touch it. "Families help each other," she said. Yes, I agreed. They do, but they don't lie. They don't open credit cards in each other's names. They don't call someone unimportant while using their money too. Fund vacations? Derek's face turned red. You're seriously bringing this up right now? After we just got back? Yes, I said. Because as of this morning, the auto pay for the rent is canceled. The credit card is frozen, and I've asked the landlord to remove me as cosigner. You have 30 days? My mother blinked. You did what? 30 days? I repeated. The room exploded. How could you do this to us? After everything we've done for you. You're overreacting. You're being selfish. I stood there and let the words hit the wall behind me instead of my chest. I'm not punishing you. I said, I'm just not paying anymore. Derek stepped closer. So what? You're just cutting us off. Yes, my mother's voice cracked. We're family. I nodded. Exactly, and family shouldn't require a spreadsheet. No one spoke. The baby started crying down the preeth. Huh? Lily walked into the kitchen, rubbing her eyes. Why is everyone yelling? I crouched down and looked at her. It's okay, sweetie. Behind me, my mother whispered. This is unbelievable. Maybe, I said softly, but it's finished, for the first time. In 6 years, I didn't say sure. And this time, I meant it.
If you like the video, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Subscribe our YouTube channel.